guys, Super Rocker here, and welcome back to another Poppy Playtime theory video. In this video, we'll be exploring the possibility of Ollie being the prototype. Since the beginning of Chapter 3, Ollie has been our guide in helping the player take down Catnap and the prototype. He has extensive knowledge of play care, gives us keys to the different buildings to access the generators, and even knows about how Catnap became what he is today. However, we never meet Ollie nor see him. The only way we interact with Ollie is when we hear his voice through the player's phone. But here's the thing, whenever Ollie talks, you can hear the pitch of his voice shift oddly. This is evidenced by these clips here.
It seems like Poppy explained everything now, and she turned on the dome's backup power. You should be able to find a big power cord somewhere around the porch. Grab it and plug it in underneath the statue.
Even though he sounds like a child, the game implies that he isn't who we think and shrouds him in mystery. It's also weird how Ollie knows so much about play care along with the dangers that we encounter throughout the chapter. On top of this, he has access to all the keys, batteries, and schematics to various systems around the play care, all within a random location in the factory. Now, some people believe that he is an orphan who lived in play care, having avoided experimentation and becoming a survivor of the Hour of Joy. But we have to remember that the Hour of Joy took place 10 years ago. Despite all the time that's passed since then, he still sounds like a young child under the age of 10. By the time we return to the factory 10 years later, Ollie should be between the ages of 15 to 20 years old. Therefore, he should have a deeper voice. With this in mind, there's no way that Ollie made it this far by himself and know everything there is to know about play care. Plus, after some time has passed since the Hour of Joy, all the toys were starving and craving for food, meaning that Ollie would be starving too. Knowing this, we can say that Ollie is not a child nor even human. The only way for Ollie to survive for that long up till now is if he were a toy, or rather something else entirely, which leads me to believing that Ollie is the prototype, who is mimicking the voice of a young child to deceive our protagonist into falling for his well-planned trap. This is evidenced by this audio log, which reveals that the prototype is able to replicate voices it hears to speak.
I possess
a question.
Go ahead.
Do you feel anything?
This question referred to what exactly?
You stick us.
Beat us.
Tear at flesh.
Do you feel it? There's a secret inside you, 1006. Valuable beyond all measure. I cut and prod and burn at it. And I get closer with each session. So speak. Or don't. Fight or give in. Regardless, I learn something new about you every day. It excites me. Thank you. You thank me? Absolutely. I learn something new about you every day.
Despite the harsh conditions in Playtime Co., Ollie is unusually upbeat and joyful. While making progress throughout the chapter, he has very weird choices of dialogue, especially this one here, where we escape from the mini smiling critters and the bigger body version of Dog Day.
Hey, are you alright? No ouchies or lost body parts? I'm really glad you're okay. Hey, did you see the shrine? Catnap made it for the prototype. That shrine, did it scare you? If you thought that was terrifying, just wait until you see the real thing.
The part where he says no ouchies or lost body parts is definitely a nod to how the prototype takes the parts of the bigger body toys that have been killed by our player. The prototype is taking the parts of these fallen toys in order to make himself stronger. This also tells us that the prototype wants to make sure that we're still intact so that when we do fall into the prototype's trap, he can take our uninjured body and use it in order to complete his goal of turning back into a human again. We'll elaborate on this later. As for the other part, when he talks about the shrine that Catnap made for the prototype, he says, if you thought that was terrifying, just waiting to see the real thing, that right there is very suspicious. Ollie would not have said that if he didn't know what the prototype looked like. So the fact that Ollie has seen the prototype's appearance is definitely a red flag, which nods to Ollie and the prototype being one and the same. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is Poppy. Throughout the story, Poppy is very cautious and careful of her words and actions. She's also very trusting of our protagonist. However, what's interesting is that the only way that Poppy was able to find us was because of Ollie.
I'm glad that Ollie could help you get this far. He's the reason we found you at all.
So we know that Poppy and Ollie have had some sort of interaction with each other. After she says that, we get no more information about Ollie. Instead, she encourages us to follow Ollie's instructions whenever he calls us. This implies that not only does Poppy have a lot of trust in Ollie, but that Ollie could have been one of the orphans or a toy that Poppy has had a close friendship with. So Poppy believes that her friend survived the Hour of Joy and is helping her and our protagonist in taking down the prototype, when in reality, the prototype is benefiting off of the situation by playing both sides. Now, let's talk about the prototype's goal of turning back into a human. Why would it want this? Well, there is a theory that Elliot Ludwig is the prototype, and there are many reasons for this. For starters, when the company was facing problems, Dr. Harley Sawyer, an executive scientist who worked for Playtime Co., presented a solution to the company's problems, that solution being the Bigger Bodies Initiative.
My name is Harley Sawyer. I'm called the Doctor. When I look at this company we've built, I do not feel proud. Declining profits, failed experiments, people are constantly seeing things they shouldn't. How is that anything less than complete failure on our part? It's pathetic. Now we're understaffed, safety protocols are being abandoned, workplace incidents are common. We can't avoid a lawsuit forever. We need to deal with all of these issues at once. I'm here now with a solution. The Bigger Bodies Initiative. Giant toys. We can increase our workforce and simultaneously decrease the number of lawsuits and people on our payroll if the people we have working aren't people. Put me in charge of it, and I will save this company.
This initiative took the brain and nervous system from a person by way of an advanced surgical procedure and then transplant them into the body of a giant toy. Not only would this allow them to create living toys, but it would increase the workforce and cut costs for the company. With the company accepting this initiative, not only would some of the company's employees fall victim to these experiments, but the orphans as well. People believe that Elliot Ludwig was using these experiments, which resulted in Elliot becoming the prototype. This is where Elliot would now seek vengeance against the same company that he once owned. During his act of vengeance, he would influence the other Bigger Body toys to rise up and kill all the adult workers in the factory. This uprising became known as the Hour of Joy. After this event passed, the experiments and the torture were put to an end. However, the kids who became these giant toys could never go back to being human again. Elliot was a man who deeply cared for children and wanted to help them. He wanted to bring compassion and joy to them under his care. With the experiments being put to an end, Elliot could rescue the children with the help of catnap and take them to a place deep within the factory where they would be safe. However, he wouldn't release them to the outside world until the factory was safe. This is where our protagonist comes in. By having the protagonist take out these Bigger Body toys one by one, not only do we put the kids trapped inside these toys to rest, but this makes the factory safer to navigate. This also allows the prototype to take the parts of these fallen Bigger Body toys and use them to make himself stronger. Seeing how we're making our way closer to the end, the prototype starts to mimic the voice of Ollie to not only play both sides, but to ensure that our protagonist falls into his trap. Once we do, Elliot would use us in his experiment of becoming human again. Not only will the children be able to leave the factory safely, but Elliot will be able to leave with them not as an experiment, but as a human. Thus, he would continue to help children all over the world. Even though this is a lot to take in, the possibility of Ollie being the prototype is very likely considering all the evidence that was presented in this video. One thing is for certain, time will tell the answer when Poppy Playtime Chapter 4 releases. And with that, this brings us to the end of this video. If you guys have any theories or thoughts about Ollie being the prototype, or that Ollie could be someone else entirely, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you guys enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit the like button down below, as well as subscribing to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe, positive, be there for another, and remember, the grind never stops, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, y'all.